Hello everybody, my name is Benjamin Bloom. We are live on the channel on a Thursday night. Going to do something a little bit different tonight. We're going to do the preview stream for the weekend's championship fixtures tomorrow. But tonight I just wanted to do a quick video about the monthly awards in the championship for December. I'm talking about the player of the month and the manager of the month awards. So anybody in the stream with any opinions on this, let me know as we go along, and I'll do any general sort of questions at the end. So first of all, hi to Elliot and hi to Dean in the chat. So I'm going with the Sky Bet nominations, but if someone is not included in there, please do say hi, Danny, in the chat. Player of the month, we are talking about first, and the four nominees. The first one is Raphael, the Reading goalkeeper. Obviously, Reading have had, I wouldn't say quite the turnaround, because frankly, since Bowen's come in, the points have been really, really good. But a second sort of winning streak at the moment, and I think a lot of it's been pointed back towards the defence, and Raphael 4 straight clean sheets in there. I was there on Boxing Day for Reading QPR, where Raphael really kept Reading in the game and got them the win, ended 1-0, but made 3 or 4 good saves. I know one of them hit him in the face at the end, but I think they sometimes look at the form teams and try to pick a player out. Don't worry, TM, we're coming on to Jim Wallace. Rather than the other way round, and they've tried to pick out a Reading player, gone for the defence and gone for the keeper. So that is why I think Raphael is in there. I suppose you've got the likes of Liam Moore as well, but they've gone for Raphael. The other nominees, the second nominee is Connor Chaplin of Barnsley, who really started moving under Gerhard Struber. In December, he got a goal against Cardiff. He got a hat-trick against QPR, which always boosts the figures for any player any month. And he got a goal at Millwall in that surprise win there, and an assist against West Brom. So 5 goals and an assist in 6 games. Very impressive stuff. Obviously, the hat-tricks in there. I saw Barnsley play at Derby recently. I can't even think, must have been a week or so ago. The Wayne Rooney unveiling, so to speak. I was impressed with Chaplin. Very direct player, very pacey. He's one of these guys that kind of speeds attacks up, does everything nice and fast. His finishing's obviously good. So yeah, so those are the first 2, Raphael and Chaplin. The third nominee was one Lee Tomlin, who we've had around the championship forever, and he's had his fair share of clubs, hasn't he? Like Chaplin, the new manager has kind of pepped him up. Neil Harris going in at Cardiff and putting Tomlin, giving him responsibility in the number 10 position. Looks a little bit fitter, a little bit more stamina, more consistency in the game than we've seen. But hey, Tomlin, the new manager, the new toy. TM says Connor Chaplin, what a goal against Millwall, got to say. Fair dues there, a fan praising the opposition team. Doesn't happen very often, does it? Love it. So yeah, Tomlin, a goal and an assist against Barnsley for Cardiff, an assist at Brentford, but it's that Leeds performance that we would look at. A brilliant kind of lobbed in finish, and then that crazy back heel on the volley assist from Tomlin. Yeah, really good December for Lee Tomlin. And been mentioned in the feed a lot, Jed Wallace is the 4th nominee. He's having the absolute purple patch of his career. Rowett's kind of had front threes and then flipped it back, but Wallace has had a chance to get a little bit further forward down that right-hand side. 9 goals and 7 assists for the season. In December, we get an assist against Forest, a goal and an assist against Bristol City, and that's an opening goal to set the tone as well. That ridiculous free kick as well at Cardiff, absolute worldie from Wallace. I've been expecting him to drop off, and he just keeps on going and going and going. Setting the tone for attacks, looks really confident. Set plays, I think he's in defenders' heads now. So Jed Wallace is the fourth nominee. Let's go through these. Raphael, Chaplin, Tomlin, Wallace. As an Ipswich fan, I used to get quite upset when Białkowski used to win Player of the Year every year, because it meant, the objective of football is to score goals, and when you keep as your Player of the Year, it means you're not doing a great job at the other end. Reading are, but I'm not going to go for Raphael. I would more go for a keeper if they were playing in a terrible team and kind of propping them up. That's probably what Białkowski was. Tomlin, not so sure. He does still flit in and out, but he's a difference maker, isn't he, in that 10 position? It's between Chaplin and Wallace for me. I think, as Animation says, I'd personally go for Chaplin. I just think that the hat trick is pushing it in his direction. Let's go for Jed Wallace, purely because maybe Barnsley were underachieving, maybe Chaplin hadn't got going. I think Wallace has pushed Millwall up the table, true star man, got them into the top six for a short while before that Swansea win. So let's go for Jed Wallace out of those four for December Player of the Month. Right, Manager of the Month, we have four choices. Obviously, Reading and Millwall had very good Decembers, so they are both represented in the Sky Bet nominations there. As ever, Jaggy right on cue there with Leeds, because we've got to talk Bielsa. Anyone who finishes the month top of the league has probably done quite well, and they managed to do that. In December, Leeds won 2-0 at Huddersfield. They won 2-0 at home to Hull. They had that collapse, didn't they? 3-3 at home to Cardiff, which we mentioned in the Tomlin game. Then they did lose at Fulham. I was at said game, the curse, getting involved there. Animation says they outplayed Arsenal first half. They did, but that was in January. Drew with Preston, and then that ridiculous 5-4 win at Birmingham. You don't really see Bielsa as a kind of month manager with strategies just to win the odd game and doing something brilliant. He's a pattern of play guy who sets things up and lets it go for 2 years. But the streak going into that Cardiff game was 7 straight wins. It's just a shame how the month fell, that it fell across 2 months, because he must have been manager of the month the previous one. But so played 6, won 3, drawn 2, lost 1. You would say, though, with Leeds, in their most difficult game they lost, and their second most difficult game they drew, whether that's a mitigating factor or not. Still 11 points in 6 games for Bielsa. John talking about Bart. We do some questions at the end from your point of view there, on anything you want to. Dean says no shout for QPR, 11 goals in 2 games. Yeah, both in January, Dean. We're talking about the December. I'm sure if QPR keep that up, Warburton will be right in there for the January one. So Mark Bowen is in there. They lost the first game in December, Reading. Lost at home to Birmingham. Then they drew at Barnsley, who were improving. And then it's that run of clean sheets. So they drew 0-0 against Stoke. So not really inspiring first 3 games, but then 3 straight wins. They beat Derby 3-0. There was a red card at the start of that game, though, wasn't there? They beat QPR, but remember, we've talked about Raphael having a good game. Did, however, have that great result up at Preston. So a good month, but when you look at it, 3 straight wins at the end, not the most inspiring. But same record as Leeds, played 6, won 3, drawn 2, lost 1 for 11 points. Leeds maybe a bit more inspiring with away win there at Huddersfield, that mad draw on a 5-4 win as well. So maybe I've got Bielsa just ahead of Bowen. Gary Rowett is the third nominee. They drew 2-2 at home to Forest. I believe they were 1-0 down, then it was 2-1 Forest, and then they got back in that one. Great week where they won away at Bristol City, which we mentioned when talking about Jed Wallace, and then away at Derby. So already a draw and 2 victories in there. John says Gary Rowett would beat someone at chess, and I didn't see his tactics are so good. Shock home defeat to Barnsley when you look at the table, but Barnsley have had that upsurge, haven't they? The draw away at Cardiff with the brilliant Jed Wallace free kick. And then, to be fair, the best result of all of them, given how good Brentford have been, Millwall beating Brentford at the Den. But, incredibly, same record as Bielsa, Bowen and Rowett. Sorry, I didn't phrase that very well. They've all got the same record. Played 6, won 3, drawn 2, lost 1, 11 points. Let's look at the opponents. Forest were in a bit of a downturn when they got them, as were Bristol City, as were Derby. Got some teams at some good times. Always difficult to go to Cardiff, but they did beat informed Brentford while they were on their good run. I think possibly they got up to third by the time Millwall beat them. So 11 points there. Jonathan Woodgate is the last one, and Borough really were stinking the division out before this. They got the 1-0 win at home to Charlton to start the month, and I'd be saying that they're only winning easy games. They then drew at Forest, which is the start of, they've actually picked up an away point off the back of the home win, Borough. Then they went to Swansea, lost 3-1, and I believe they had 2 players sent off in that one, so the discipline were going again. Then, however, they beat Stoke 2-1 in a real big bottom of the table 6-pointer. Then Borough won at Huddersfield 0, so they followed it up, so that made it 3 straight home wins. Then, however, the huge win was West Brom 0, Borough 2 at the end, which really surprised everybody and kind of made you think, God, Borough have turned it around. What I do like about this is that Woodgate kind of stuck to his guns. He didn't change the philosophy, he changed the team shape. Everything seemed to be going against it, but they stuck to their guns, and in the end, the results came, which I always like to see. And for the points, Woodgate has got more in December than Bielsa, Bowen and Rowett. He's got 13 because it was 4 wins from 6. The only guy to get the 4th win in there. So 4 wins and a draw makes 13 points. So looking at it, Bielsa, well, Leeds did come a cropper in their difficult game, and if the 7-game winning streak had gone across 1 month, it would definitely be him, so probably not. Reading is a bit uninspiring to start with because it's home defeat, draw, 0-0 draw, and then they're set off by a victory at home to Derby. Rowett, this is very good because of the 2 away wins in there. Although they did catch Bristol City and Derby. No, Bristol City was still up there then, weren't they? And then that really good win against Brentford. So I've got Rowett ahead of Bielsa and Bowen. Woodgate got more points, and Borough came from a position of being worse. I know the whole thing is you're only judging the month, but you have to judge the month as to where it came from before. And given I think they went away to West Brom and got the win when West Brom were top, won all of their home games as well in that month, I think I've got to go for Jonathan Woodgate. He scored the most points as well. So I think I've got to go for Woodgate for the December manager of the month. I think these are revealed tomorrow. So I've gone for Jed Wallace as the player of the month, and I've gone for Jonathan Woodgate as the manager of the month. Remember, we're talking about December, not necessarily the last 6 games. I know the form tables tell us the last 6 games. And obviously, with the Christmas programme, you've still got the New Year's Day, so there's already been a couple of games. So that would be my thoughts on this month's awards. If anyone has any questions, get them in now, and we'll do a little bit of extra time onto the end of this topic. I will do the preview tomorrow. We'll do that as a live stream, so tune in for that. And I'll do another transfer update. Michael says, Ben, your thoughts on Rowett at Millwall so far? Absolutely brilliant, really. Look at the points per game and look at the difference in points. But that's what you're looking for. What difference was it? Take 20 games before and then the first 20 games, 30 and 30, and you add those up and you'll see how he's pushed everything forward. I think he's given Millwall a bit of a new lease of life. It had become a bit staid, and I remember doing the Millwall QPR game and matched up formations and tried to defend. He's obviously getting a tune out of Jed Wallace. So yeah, I think huge thumbs up for Gary Rowett. And I didn't know whether he'd come back from the Stoke job. So he has, and because I found him a bit dull at Derby, given the money they spent. So big thumbs up for Gary Rowett in there. Any more questions, get them in there. We will do another transfer roundup. I know people asking about Scott Sinclair and such like on Twitter. QPR have Brentford next game, says Dean. Yes, they do, and you'll be very pleased to know, if you're a QPR fan, that Andrew, who's just messaged, won't be pleased because he's got a Leeds badge up there, but I have got tickets for QPR Leeds the following weekend. Let's see if Leeds end the London curse and the Benjamin Bloom curse. Oliver says, has to be Rowett, but it's down to Sky. Leeds will win. Did you not buy my argument there about Woodgate having more points than that away win at Borough and unbeaten home record? I think there is a good argument for Woodgate, but hey, look, 11 points, 13. They all going to be there. Connor asked, Millwall, Reading, is that weekend? I'm not going to be there if it's this weekend, although I am going to possibly be looking at Millwall West Brom, which is on a Sunday coming up. John says Championship January special. Yes, for sure. We'll do some bits and then we'll do a big roundup at the end. Animation asked about Gary Medine, which is a good subject. He just chipped back in there again. Because I'm hearing Medine's going to end up at Sunderland, which very much surprises me. I thought, given that I know he didn't score goals for Cardiff, but he really did change games when they got promoted. And for Sheffield United, he was really useful in a very high functioning team, even if it was getting rest for Sharp and McGoldrick up front. So, I'm surprised if he ends up at Sunderland, but someone just pointed out he's going back to Phil Parkinson, who really, when they raised that money there, Bolton, Parkinson was his manager, played directly into Medina and it worked a treat. It just surprises me how Sunderland manages to keep coming up with the money. I know they've had parachute money, but relegations and empty stadiums does surprise me. Sorry, there was a flurry of comments there. If there were any more questions, do chip in again. I'll do a quick Twitter plug. Elliot says, thoughts on Emre Moore? Do I know anything about him? I do not. Tell me more, Elliot, if you'll excuse the pun. Curse of Leeds is Benjamin, says Andrew. We've got to cure this nonsense, haven't we? So QPR Leeds, although QPR scoring a lot of goals at the moment, but we'll see if they can do it. Dean says Luke Freeman linked with Leeds. I'm struggling to see that as well too. Animation asked, do Preston have too many attackers? Possibly not. It was working at the start of the season, wasn't it? Rotating them. Be really interested to see how Scott Sinclair does, but we will do a bit more there. Michael says the fact that Rowett changed the playing style edges out Woodgate for me. Yeah, reasonable argument. Brandon says thoughts on Patrick Roberts at Borough. I'm excited to see that one go. I think Stuart Webber, the Norwich guy's, got a good eye for a player and just couldn't quite fit him in there. So very much highly hyped Patrick Roberts. So we'll see. I guess the way Borough have been playing though, that he's he's going to have to play down the middle in some capacity because we've been playing wing backs, haven't they? So don't know if there's a natural wide position there for him, but we'll see if they stick him off the front or in a 10 off 1 or in a 10 off 2. But yeah, looking forward to seeing Roberts line up. Not sure about Nemecha, but excited to see Roberts line up for Borough. Right, if there are no more questions, we'll plug again. Brandon said Woodgate wants to play 4-2-3-1. Well, then Roberts would be perfect if that's the case. In fact, you could knock Fletcher off to one of the side positions. The Metcher could go down there. Yeah, so that could work. Michael says, how's life at Ipswich this year, mate? Well, it was absolutely brilliant when we were winning every week, but bad run at the moment, bloated squad, bit of a sense of not knowing the best 11, lots of rotation. But as we know, wins change everything. Are those Crouchy's fish? No, they're mine, Robbie. Oliver says a slow January window as a whole, don't know why. Yeah, I mean, we remember, Oliver, we're only 9 days in, so I'm sure it will come. But it has quietened down over the last few years, hasn't it? Dean says, will Leeds and West Brom spend? Most teams that are in the top 2 do supplement and do add because the gamble is lessened by your league position. So they all do tend to add. And as we've heard the cliche trotted out many, many times, the best time to strengthen is when you're strong. You can attract the players, and it's always easier to integrate players into a winning team. Animation says, who should Oxford look out for when they play Ipswich? Well, Kane Vincent Young if he's fit, but he's not going to be. Difficult question. Caden Jackson if he slides down the side with his pace. Ted Bishop's just got back in the team. Andrew says Leeds won't spend loans from abroad. Yeah, I know what you mean, Andrew. In terms of, but you can still add, can't you? So I missed the last question there. It's very hard to keep up with all the questions. I'll have to have a look and see if there's a different way of doing this. And now on the laptop you can see the questions. Right. Michael says, I think Harris has to take credit for the squad as Mill. Yeah, perhaps he does. It's just tactically now, isn't it? Connor says, Leeds are going to bottle it. Can't wait. The thing that will stop Leeds' small squad be injuries, won't it? But let's see. That chaotic style did pay against them. Will Arsenal player that went from Leeds go out on loan? Dean's talking about Eddie Nketiah. Yes, he will go out on loan. If not, he would have been in the Arsenal team the other night. And everyone wants him, don't they? You think Forest and Bristol City. If there's any loyalty in the game, which there probably isn't, it'll end up at Bristol City because they were in the summer. But I don't know, Forest would be a nice move. It's just the sales pitch. And if I were Nketiah, I'd go to Bristol City because he will score more goals. Connor says everyone wants Nketiah except Millwall. Millwall have just sent on Tom Elliott, haven't they? So Millwall may have some spare wages. Jaggy says Leeds don't. There you go. If you're Rowett, Ben, do you add to the squad at Millwall? If you can, I guess, although the best way Millwall can add, sadly, is the sale of one of the assets and try and add 2 or 3. That's how sort of Bristol City and Brentford have managed to trade and build their way up without parachute money. So although you don't ideally want to sell, if you trust Rowett, then maybe a sale isn't always a bad thing if you can then bring in 2 or 3. I always give the example, Ipswich could not get up in the late 90s. They sold Kieran Dyer, they brought in John McGreal, Gary Croft, Jermaine Wright, Marcus Stewart, and built a team around selling one player. So if they get to reinvest. John says, think Mark Bowen deserves the manager of the month, but unlikely Raphael because he's a keeper. I agree with that. There was a Millwall fan in there asked how much Bart would cost. I think Millwall have played quite a good game here. The market is slow for Bart, so I do think Millwall could get him quite cheaply. It's going to be under $1 million, isn't it? Unless there's some competition from somewhere, and I'm thinking Neil Harris. Connor says Bart will cost $1 million. I think, given it's gone past this transfer window, I think you'll get him for less than that, and he's on a lovely old contract given by Marcus Evans. So I don't think the transfer fee is the primary thing from an Ipswich selling point of view. I think it's I think it's getting the wages off the bill. Michael says he thinks Rowett's got the deal sorted out. Dean says Warburton loan magic again. Yeah, or what's Warburton's mate called? Frank, I can't think of his name. The agent who the Brentford fans don't like. I'm sure they've got some ideas. Remember, Warburton's got the knowledge of Scotland as well, so maybe we'll see him go to that market. Saw Lee Wallace coming in from there. Although the magic of QPR is the youngsters, isn't it? That's the building blocks there. Michael says Bart guarantees on the season. Deal of the year, Ejaria for $3 million. If they that is done as well, isn't it? Ejaria, that's a very, very good deal for $3 million for sure. Shone in a couple of games. Codger for Forest says hip to the game. I think he's Villa fan, hip to the game. So Codger at Championship level, very good. It looks like he's done at Villa now, doesn't he? I think that would be a good move. Michael says Bart is a Premier League keeper, great keeper. He is a great keeper, never managed to get up to that level. Animation says John Swift linked with Leeds. That's interesting if he has been, because I pulled out of my head before the transfer window a guy who would fit well at Leeds would be Swift. I've been saying Klitsch needs a steady partner there in the kind of advanced number 8 position. Get in the box, do your pressing, score some goals. Swift would be perfect. I saw a link with Barry Bannon as well. You just got to be so mobile to play for Leeds, and you worry about people like Bannon and Swift, whether they could do it. Dean says Eze interest from Sheffield United and Southampton. Going to cost a pretty penny to get Eze out of London. You would be thinking a huge amount, wouldn't you? Rout keeps getting asked about a loan move for Vidra, who he had at Derby. If he can get Vidra to Millwall, that would be a fantastic signing, I would have thought. Big money spent by Burnley in the number 10 position as well, scored over 20 goals for Derby. Would be a good one. Oliver says Ipswich dodged a bullet not signing Elliott. John says, be honest, best Ipswich player to buy. I'll be totally honest, is Flynn Downs, central midfielder. Championship ready for sure. Bit rough edges, needs working his way in. Very, very young, but yeah. Flynn Downs, Luke Wolfenden are the Ipswich players you want, but you didn't hear it from me. More likely will be people like, it looks like Toto and Ciala's very heavily linked with Bolton in League One. But yeah, 2 good youngsters at Ipswich at the moment. And sadly, you never sell the players you want to get shot of, you sell the players you want to keep. It always ends up. Dean says, Ivan Toney not attracting interest. I'm surprised. Yeah, Tony's having a good season, isn't he? Everyone knows that you've got to pay top dollar for a Peterborough striker. As of now, who do you see finishing the playoffs? Says John. God, that's impossible, isn't it? It literally could be anyone. I've said many times now, Leeds and West Brom are very good. Brentford and Fulham are good. That still leaves 2 places, doesn't it? It really is anybody's straight. You've seen Blackburn get up close. You see Reading, as mentioned there, go on a mega run. Bristol City could go 8 wins out of 13 or something. So, Michael says Ipswich should pick up Billy Mitchell on loan. Quality young player needs game time. Midfielder, isn't he? Michael from Millwall. Yeah, I just think Ipswich need to streamline their squad rather than bring anyone else in. But people don't want to hear that, do they? They want more players all the time. So, right, I have not eaten my dinner yet, so I am going to shoot downstairs and do that. I thank everybody in the stream. Some really good insight tonight. Kind of fun. Let's take that one from Oliver quickly. How much do you think we could sell Wallace for if we have sold him? I think for Jed Wallace, being as he's gone through such a purple patch, I think 6, 7, 8 million. I don't think it's going to go any higher than that, just because he's not been an elite player. Animation says 18 million. He's not been an elite player at Championship level for anything more than 3 months, really, has he? He's been a serviceable Championship player for a couple of seasons. No, Anime, you're probably right, knowing a ridiculous transfer market. But I'd say 6 to 8 million, I think. But it's a seller's market for Wallace. Connor says take 8, yeah. And that's the thing. For Millwall, 8, you gotta keep some of that for running costs. But come on, you can bring in 3 decent million players. Dean says Eze worth only 12 million. I think more than that. We turned down 7 for Cooper. Who offered 7 for Cooper? Was that Glasgow Rangers? Do you know, I'd have taken 7 for Cooper. I know he's brilliant for Millwall, but that's good money, isn't it? And if you spend it well, you can build an entirely new team, can't you? 8 million for Saville. That's a fair point. Yeah, that's a very fair point. Says Little Crow. Yeah, well, so Rangers for Jake Cooper, 4 million. Okay. Yeah. So look. Sometimes selling is a good thing. Honestly, you've seen teams do it very, very well, and it's not the end of the world if you sell your good players, as long as you trust your manager and you reinvest the money. It's when you're doing Ipswich and you sell, and don't reinvest properly. Don't mention Cooper, says John, as a Reading fan. It makes me cry that we let him go. What happened to the money? 8 million for Saville. Where did that go? They did have a bit of a splurge at the start of the season. What we've got to remember as well is that Bradshaw came in and got injured, and Scalak came in and never played. I think that was the investment that Harris did, and it just didn't work out. Dean says Celtic and Rangers to join the Championship. God, we'd love to have them, wouldn't we? But yeah, politically, I don't think that would ever happen. Right, I am going to bid you farewell because I've done 30 minutes and I thought I'd only do 10. Yeah, call me out when the manager of the month comes in and the player of the month, and I've got it completely wrong. I went for Wallace and Woodgate. We'll see how right I am. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching. Over and out. See you tomorrow for the preview stream when I've done the research. Bye-bye.